Hello, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Yes, I coined that from legendary Dragon Ball YouTuber, Black and Fist, one of my favorite uh, Dragon Ball YouTubers from back in the day. But anyway, welcome to the first episode of Tavern Talk Geek Culture. On this is a little different from my or our other podcast. It is where we talk about basketball and the NBA. This we're going to talk about anything geek culture because it is Tavern Geek and we are geeks. That's what we are. Joining me tonight is my wonderful co-host from the NBA Tavern, from the Tavern Talk NBA show, the Professor Dulk Banner, or D. What's up, man?
Hey, Micah, how you doing, buddy?
Thanks for coming on with me tonight and rambling some geek stuff.
Yeah, I'm here to support and listen.
Awesome. Uh, D or Derek is a lover of Marvel movies, and we always get some good conversations about the Incredible Hulk. He's a big Incredible Hulk fan. But tonight we're talking about the X-Men. But I'm sure we'll end up maybe talking about the Incredible Hulk a little bit here. I definitely have something to talk about when it comes to the Incredible Hulk tonight. But yeah, this is other part of what this social media platforms all about is supporting craft beer and craft breweries. And tonight I'm drinking a skillet donut stout from Burial Brewing in Asheville, North Carolina. It is one of the best stouts I've, easy going stout I've had in a while. Really cool. I like the can art. But yeah, so Derek, out there in the geek world, man, what have you been watching, man? What have you been paying attention to? Obviously, I know you've been watching WandaVision, but what else are you psyched for or been checking out?
Well, yeah, I get a lot of people at work that mention WandaVision. Obviously, that's been current topic. Outside of that, for me, I just recently went back and started catching up or finishing off uh, Agents of Shield. Did you ever finish that?
I shot forward and watched like the last episode because I just
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's
yeah.
so draggy. That's how I describe it. It's just like some things you just got to chew through it. But I mean, I love that Ghost Rider uh, season. That was awesome, and
Yeah.
I think that going into the next season after that was starting out as a disappointment for me, and that's where I had left off almost 2 years ago. So, like I said, I just recently over the last month started picking back up here and there, and then I hit season 6, and I was like, okay, this is getting pretty good again. And then that was only 13 episodes, and season 7, which is I think the last season that came out last year, is also 13 episodes, and that's really cool because they're traveling through time. Hopefully, I'm not spoiling anything for anybody, but
No, I watched some of that. Was
but
that when
yeah,
they
I'm liking that. I think I'm in the 2/3 of the way on that,
is
like
that when
episode 7 or 8.
they went to the other planet in an alternate timeline or something? And
Yeah, they kind of did that in season 6.
yeah, that I watched some of that and I couldn't do it. That one was really hard.
It
Um,
is hard because like if you fall asleep during one of those episodes, which to me is easy to do, and you wake up to something that's a weird artifact right in front of your face, you just kind of like, I don't know how they got here, and it's like hard to go back sometimes. But like I
yeah,
said, I stayed focused on season 6 and 7 while I was watching that, and it really caught my interest all over again. So, uh, you know, it's something that's obviously ended. So I'm just trying to finish it up to say that I finished it. But I do like how the coincidence of, well, it's not coincidental, I guess, because it's all Marvel Studios, but like season 7, last season, they're traveling through time, and then how WandaVision, watching this more recently, is they're traveling through different time periods
Yeah.
through the first couple episodes of that, not to spoil anything for anybody. So I was just like, okay, so this is kind of like, the continuation of where I guess Doctor Strange was brought in the MCU universe, where you get into the aspect of time, and so they make it relevant to other things that they're doing, which is the cool thing about the MCU, how
Yeah.
everything kind of at some point circles back around.
Well, yeah, especially if you think about Endgame and when Thanos showed up and somebody, I can't remember if Cap said it. He was like, "What was that?" And oh, it was when Cap and Thor and Tony were walking out to meet Thanos, and Cap was like, "What was that?" or whatever. And Tony was like, "No, Cap was on the ground. Tony got him out of the rubble." And Tony was like, "If you mess with time, it tends to mess back." Like, because Tony's already figured this out. Like, he's already figured this out in his head that something like this was going to happen. So,
Right.
yeah, from them
and
traveling.
it's weird, the little intricate parts that you can miss, or not think twice about, because it's like, okay, there's a lot going on here, but Marvel always finds that way of bringing it back, like, in case you forgot, you know there's consequences for all this stuff that's happened before. And I also talked to somebody about that too, just how you know they just go back in their movies too and show like things like Spider-Man Homecoming, where you have what was the villain, the main villain in that?
The Vulture.
Yeah, like how, like, okay, after the events of the Avengers, the first movie in New York City, it's like, yeah, they're going to make another Avengers movies, and each individual superhero with their own movies, the broad aspect of that, but then to the realism of, okay, there's other things going on behind the scenes. And
Mm-hmm.
then they put that in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie, like that junk he collected, or when they started out Agents of Shield, which I can't remember exactly what happened there, but where they showed like the little Avenger figurines and relevance to what happened in New York City, because it was post the first Avengers movie. So
Mm-hmm.
just those little bit of details of bringing it back on an Earth scale, I guess, where some of the movies are obviously in a bigger picture type of things, bigger events, but then to make it like, okay, how's this affecting a little bit more civilian type of life, or the local town heroes type of thing.
Yeah, and I know and I'm bringing up an awesome scene that just that solidifies what you're talking about, what Marvel does. And I know you've seen you've seen everything up to just the recent episode of WandaVision, correct?
Yes.
So the very I know pretty much, if you're listening to this, spoilers, and hopefully you've seen episode 1. But when Monica Rambeau comes and she's wished back and she's in the hospital, and like the realization, like in that scene, that everybody's just appearing back in this hospital and just appearing all over the universe, and it's like, holy
Yes,
crap! And you get this like
that might actually
panic.
be
Yeah.
episode 2 or 3, but
Okay.
yeah, it's still early on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like she did such a good job as an actress doing that. But on top of it, like they really captured like what the snap really did on all levels. It wasn't just like, oh, it's over with and it's done and they're going off to a new topic. Like they're still playing on, they always have a consequence for everything they do. Like look at Age of Ultron, set up so much stuff. And everybody was like, this is the weakest Avengers movie. Yeah, it had some flaws, but look what it did. It created plot points for so many things. Uh,
I mean, you're absolutely right, because if you just look at it as an individual movie, yeah, you can do that from just a general moviegoer. But if you're looking at it from a fan's perspective, where you're trying to break it down, you're trying to analyze, you're trying to come up with your own fan theories, you're right. It leaves a big hole as far as openness of what else had happened. We saw Avengers 3, but what's in between, or what's to come because of events from Ultron. And that's how we got, in some part, WandaVision from that as well. that's where she was introduced, Wanda Maximoff's character. So
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Just how they always intertwine things, and that's kind of like where I'm going tonight with the show. I just with the new phase of Marvel coming out now with the Disney Plus stuff and everything, and I know everybody is pumped about the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and I'm really pumped about the X-Men, and I'm just kind of like looking at what we have to look forward to in the MCU right now in this phase, and kind of like how do the X-Men fit in, or how do they come together? And there's so many people out here, just that they say so many different things. um a lot of people have had some amazing you know ideas, which I love listening to. Rob and Comics Explained has put the X-Men in MCU probably like 50 times since they found out about it. Somebody asks him that probably daily. Hey, Rob. but but
yeah, what I want to ask, like, what phase or sub phases do you see the MCU going right now? Um, I mean, I guess the bigger picture would be like the multiverse, but how the setup of the Avengers movie, how it was kind of like Earthbound heroes, they were gathered, and then it became okay, into the cosmos with Thor, and
and
then
Guardians, yeah.
time, yeah, and the Guardians, and now time and relativity with Doctor Strange and Wanda. So what's next?
Captain Marvel, yeah. Yeah, it's what's next is a whole new thing. And you're seeing the heroes fade out. Tony's dead, Cap is old, Black Widow is gone. Hulk is kind of like his own. He's finally figured out his gamma stuff. He's Professor Hulk, like he's in control. So you don't have that anymore with him. Thor is like off to find a new purpose, into space with the Guardians, after he hung around and drank beer for 5 years, and then uh, you know, so these were the pillars, Hawkeye too. These were the pillars of what we first saw in that first Avengers movie and what came forward. These characters are all over the place, and the characters that were tied to them. And now they're going to really expound on these other characters that they've really built up, like like Spider-Man obviously is getting thrown out there like heavily, but they also have help from another studio to put his movies out. So it's pretty easy to get him going on that level like he is. And then Doctor Strange is obviously going to become a very prevalent uh uh franchise. And then we see where Wanda's going, and how they've done so well with that show so far. And then uh you know and then of course we've got Falcon and Winter Soldier come up, so they are getting their own thing, and they've been sidekick characters, you know. And Rhodey's getting his own thing with the Armor Wars show coming.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. So it's like, we're
Oh,
seeing
and then you have Loki,
yeah,
who
yeah, Loki. That's the big one, actually.
I guess he's going to mess with time too, or he just travels without being detected.
From what I understand is when he used the Tesseract, it set off and he traveled from an alternate timeline to another alternate timeline, and he doesn't even know how he's doing it. I guess because the Avengers came back and changed the rift in time, it just kind of, you see what I'm saying? Um, like,
Yeah, I guess because we have that alternate timeline, or the Loki that we see now is the one from
yeah, the alternate
Endgame, right?
timeline. Yeah.
Which
And,
is set back in like what, 2012.
yeah,
So
that
that's the
Loki.
Loki we're getting.
That was not the Loki that we saw die in Infinity War, who had kind
Right.
of
Okay.
changed.
Just
So
wanted to
this,
clear that up.
from what I understand, is the series. He's basically going to become like a time cop. And they're sending him to, and he has to go and confront all and take out other versions of himself, like in
Oh,
other
that's cool.
timelines. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it because I just personally like Tom Hiddleston, and I like Loki a lot. He's one of my favorite characters I think everybody loves Loki. I don't think nobody dislikes him like in the MCU. Like he's just he made the Thor movies. Just like people went there to see him. Honestly, he was amazing in Avengers, and I loved him in Ragnarok. Ragnarok was so good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, not to get off the subject from this, but that's another thing Marvel does very well is playing up the villains
yeah.
from the movies. To just a quick plug, if you watched, you turned me on to the Netflix series of Marvel characters that they had, and Daredevil with Kingpin. I mean, he just made that show for me.
But yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio, if I said his name right, is absolutely the Kingpin, and they do not need to recast that. They need to bring him, throw money at him, and him and Charlie Cox, and bring them into the MCU somewhere, which I'd love to see in Spider-Man. I like to see them surface in the Spider-Man movies, and maybe Kingpin having something to do in the background with the Sinister Six. Like maybe Kingpin gets Scorpion and Vulture out of jail.
Oh,
Like,
dude, that would be so
you know,
awesome.
and then they could go and find a cool actor to play Smythe and kind of like take from the animated series a little bit. But yeah, I could go down a freaking trail with Spider-Man, just like I'm about to do with the X-Men.
We'll have to do
Um,
that episode too.
yeah, definitely. But with the way it's playing out right now, I really think, and we're gonna. This is the thing. I'm not going to get into an origin story for mutants. I'm not going to even acknowledge that. I'm not going to say that because of all the timelines and the quantum realm stuff that they're going to bring the mutants from the Fox universe into Marvel, because that's everybody thinks that's a big theory right now. It's not technically bad, but I don't think that's relevant. I think what is mutants have been here this entire time, and just like Pietro and Wanda's powers were activated by the stone, the radiation or whatever the stone gives off. That when the snap happened, and it happened 3 consecutive times within 5 years. So Thanos did it, and then Thanos did it, then Hulk snapped, and then Tony snapped. So that's 3 times within a 5-year period, and 2 snaps within an hour or minutes or however long it took of that amount of energy being released throughout the universe. So what's to say that energy didn't awaken the X gene? So now in this time period now, and it's kind of like the way the X-Men were introduced in the 60s or whatever, I think 63 maybe. You already had Iron Man, you already had Spider-Man, you already had Hulk, you had these guys already. And then all of a sudden you find out that there's people born with powers in the X gene. So now there are people born with powers. Um, happening all over the place, and this is going to cause Charles Xavier to act finally. Um, so if we look at Xavier and how they should do it, I think they should go to Disney Plus. I think there should be a series called Xavier and Magneto. I think it should be based on the younger versions of Xavier and Magneto, like what we saw with Fox, but just done like according to their actual comic book origins, which are pretty good. And we kind of see that Xavier and Magneto were an exception to the mutants. Like they had their powers. But there are very few mutants in the world that actually had their powers until the energy is released from the Infinity Gauntlet. That's the way that I think would be a great way to introduce mutants. And then have a Disney Plus show showing like the 2 very, very rare people with mutant abilities, like going around and having their own past and building things up for them. I don't want to talk about what I think should happen in that series, because that series would be a long, like constant story filled series of like build up. But that leads to the next character, like, is Wolverine. And we just did people out there, if you go and go to Hops Geek News, I was just on a 3-part series about Wolverine where we talked about Wolverine from the comics. Broke down a lot of it. It was a lot of fun. Definitely check them out. They're a lot of fun to listen to and hang out with. But one thing we didn't really get to cover was, like we were talking about who should play him, like what actor should play Wolverine since Hugh Jackman hung it up and whatnot. But we never got into like, how's Wolverine going to be like in MCU? Where does he show up at? How do you tell his story? And to me, honestly, I think that Marvel should should do something crazy. And I think uh, the next big Avengers movie, or a bigger movie where you're going to attract a lot of people to that movie. I think that basically what they should do is at the very end, they should they should show a clip. And honestly, I think it should be in an Incredible Hulk movie. I think that if they get the rights back to the Hulk in the next year or so, and they can make a solo movie, and they make a solo movie about him fighting Red Hulk or doing whatever the heck is, but at the very end of it, it goes back to when he goes to Canada at the end of the first movie, and when he goes and puts the bullet in his mouth, and I don't know, do you remember that, Derek? You remember he tried to off himself,
Yeah, I think I do remember.
and he hulked out and basically,
Reset his personal calendar of how many days.
yeah. So what did the Hulk do as soon as he hulked out? Because he was obviously so pissed because Banner tried to kill him. So the Hulk, was running around in the Canadian wilderness, just throwing trees around, and they Shield knew where he was. So who does Shield send in to fight him? To not bring him back down to his level? Who drove his ass out of Canada is the question. And he ended up in Calcutta when Black Widow finds him at the beginning of Avengers. So my thing is, I think they should do a Marvel one shot, like a short, maybe make it a half an hour long, and it's nothing but the Hulk and Wolverine fighting.
Oh yeah,
That's all it is.
That would be
Yeah,
so awesome.
I think that's how they should show him. He just shows up, and they just go at it, and then we're like, oh man, he's existed this entire time. And then from there, I think, uh, you know, I think that after that, they should give him his own net. I think they should give him his own Disney Plus series called, and going and showing his origin and stuff like that, um, which I think would be really neat. Or maybe making an Alpha Flight series where they kind of talk about Wolverine in it, and he shows up in a couple of episodes, and it kind of tells you more about Weapon X and Department H, Project Wide Awake, stuff like that. But after that, he gets his own movie, obviously. Um, and in that movie, I think it should be, I think the main villain should be Omega Red. And I think it should show him fighting with Department H, and he's sent out to take on whatever, and he's got to deal with Omega Red, and this is all going on, and we don't even know that Wolverine exists. And at the end of the movie, in the end credit scene, Xavier shows up and recruits him to the X-Men. And I think that would be a really awesome way to kind of have him come to the X-Men. So he would be in his own, kind of flashback one shot. And then he would have some sort of like residence in I keep wanting to say Netflix, a Disney Plus series. And then, he gets his own movie. So he's introduced, he gets, a little bit of backstory, and then he gets his own movie. And then Xavier shows up, brings him to the X-Men. So I think that would be like a really good way to put Logan in there. But then after that, that's for Wolverine. So they need to release an X-Men movie first, just a one self-titled X-Men movie. And the focus of the movie is you have five close to teenage, but close to 20 kids that manifest powers, and Xavier teaches them how to use their powers to slow down or stop his best friend Magneto. Just a simple thing like that. But there, you could do it that way. And introduce the original 5 X-Men for once. They've always kind of like put together their own kind of mismatched team for cartoons and whatnot. We've never got the original 5 X-Men. Like, they never really focused on them that much. So I think that would be a really good thing for the first movie. It's just the original 5 X-Men and Xavier dealing with Magneto, and whatever way that they want to do it. Marvel will find a way to make it awesome. You could take from the comics that Magneto trying to steal missiles or whatever. But I think that would be the first X-Men movie. And then when you got to get to the second X-Men movie is whatever the bad guy is. I'm not, and you end up with the new team. And
Can
I
you
think
give us the original 5 X-Men?
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page.
Yeah, man. Cyclops, obviously. And Jean Grey, Beast, Iceman, and Angel would be the original 5.
Okay.
And I know Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Beast are pretty popular. Iceman and Angel are not as popular. And, they kind of took Cyclops and Jean Grey in the Fox movies and just put Wolverine and Storm in there because they were the other 2 most popular. But yeah, I think that's what that movie should be. And then you have Xavier showing up at the end of a Wolverine movie, recruiting him to the X-Men, and then Disney Plus puts out a series called, that kind of just shows episodes of mutants around the world. And this is where you could have Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, these characters introduced, and Xavier's going around and recruiting them for whatever in your next movie. And that's really like where I see their movies going. Now, as far as like who I want them to cross over with or whatnot, I haven't thought about it as much other than the Incredible Hulk and Wolverine. I would like to see an Illuminati happen with Xavier and Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange. Unfortunately, we won't have another T'Challa, but or a Tony Stark as far as the movie deaths go. So, or Cap was in it too, but it would be interesting to see who they would put in there and be a part of it. It'd be awesome if they introduced Adam Brashear, the Blue Marvel, and did some stuff with him. There's so much stuff that they can do right now in the MCU that it's mind blowing. You don't know where they're going to go. But yeah, as far as the X-Men go, that's the way I would do it. And then as far as the other X-Men characters, like you have Disney Plus, so now you have like a window for so much like that you can build off of. Like they need to do a Gambit series, cast who are Channing Tatum, I don't know, whoever they would get to play Gambit, and it needs to be a series. Like you could do seasons of that, of just stuff about Gambit, because Gambit there's plenty of stuff that you can roll off of. And it kind of explained his involvement with Mr. Sinister and the Marauders and all of that, and the Mutant Massacre but the days that led up to when he showed up to the X-Men when they discovered him or whatever. Because I mean, for a long time, Gambit was a really, really popular X-Men character. I know he's one of your favorites, right, Derek?
Yeah, if I have to choose a favorite X-Men, he's my favorite. I don't know a lot about the X-Men in general, but just growing up watching some of the 90s cartoon, he was my personal favorite.
Yeah, the thing about him was he was kind of like Wolverine, like he didn't have an origin. So he was mysterious, like really mysterious. and it played really well for his character. So it was just this mysterious dude doing like noble things on the X-Men team that you didn't think he would, you know. And in the animated series, they made him awesome. He was great in the animated series. That was just a great character. But yeah, you could do your own Gambit series, and kind of explain things up to when he gets with the X-Men, but it just covers all the stuff that happens like during, you know, like the Mutant Massacre and the Marauders and Sinister, and then Sinister can roll into, you know, cloning Jean Grey, and the next thing you know, you're in the Phoenix, and you know, it's just, there's so much things, so many stories that Marvel has access to now. But but easing their, you know, them into the MCU that way, you're going to want to go big with Wolverine and get him in there ASAP, and then you're going to want to be able to build upon Xavier and Magneto, uh, you know, better than what Fox did. I don't think they did real bad with it, but uh, and then just keep going. Um, but yeah, Derek, like with the X-Men, where would you like to see them show up? Like, what, like X-Men characters? Where would you like to see them cross over? What MCU characters would you like to see them cross over with?
Oh yeah, I don't have a big, knowledge of the X-Men or anything like that. So just me kind of throwing it in the wind. I think it'd be kind of cool if they showed maybe Magneto first, just do the villain first,
Mm-hmm.
like an end credit scene or post credit scene, sorry, at the end of a movie, and just, I don't know where he would be. I don't know a lot about it, but maybe he's on the street of New York City, or if referencing one of the old Avengers movie. I mean, the guy controls metal. He could just be popping up, clearing some space or something, or he could be with another villain. As far as if they show Justin Hammer again, you know, just showing Magneto's face basically. He doesn't even have to do anything, just enough to where people, like if he's wearing some type of helmet to where you can identify him, and he's just an end credit. Like that would be like the tip of the iceberg type of thing. Like, oh, okay, we just saw him first, so like who's coming next? Like you're saying, like, okay, if we saw him, then we know uh Charles Xavier exists now. Like he's somewhere. He's got the X-Men. So like all that could happen, as well as what you were saying with like the Hulk and Wolverine type of thing. As far as that being a one-off, but yeah, I think it'd just be cool if he kind of showed up, no different than uh, they did Doctor Doom some way in the same. But I know
Yeah.
that's another phase for Marvel of characters to introduce. But yeah, I mean, I definitely love your theories as far as you knowing the background of the X-Men and how they were assembled, and things that could be done to incorporate them into the franchise there.
Yeah, I think, you know, they could take Magneto, honestly, and I think Rob talked about this in his X-Men video, putting him in the MCU, and that's where I remember it from. But Magneto can be like an ex-Sokovian, like general or something like that, because obviously in this time period he's not going to be a German, or not going to be a Jew that was, you know, really, you know, ridiculed in the Holocaust or whatnot. But you can make him Sokovian and say that, you know, he and his wife, he had a family, and he was because in the comics he has the daughter, uh Anya, I can't remember, but she's a mutant and she can control plant life. And there's a big scene with her and the townspeople, and she ends up getting accidentally killed, and Magneto manifests his powers for the first time and like just kills everybody. And
So like now I'm kind of, you got me thinking about what you were talking about earlier as well, as far as them being at different locations. And if it wasn't the snap that activated some of their powers, maybe it could have been some of the Infinity Stones or something that could have activated their powers in the past, like with the Red Skull being there and I guess Russia in the movies.
Yeah.
But or like Storm's character from Wakanda, just different locations, because no different than the Avengers being in different areas of the world, but obviously most of the ones we've seen are the one on Earth or from the United States, but just in different areas. So it could be one of two things. It could be still some way related to the stones, but it could be post snap or just before the snap, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, any of
And then,
that.
like you
Yeah.
said, the snap kind of awakens the powers of more mutants. But okay, if you're going back to like the Wolverine, I guess the way they did in the movies, I'm not, is the comics kind of similar to the Weapon X program, as far as them trying to make
Um,
redo the super serum soldier or the super soldier serum,
yeah.
and
So
then creating Wolverine kind of in the process.
yeah, they've definitely laid the groundwork for that in MCU already. With Captain America, you got Weapon One, and then they obviously tried to make several different super soldiers, and you saw that in Incredible Hulk when Ross gave Blonsky that super soldier thing. And if you like, I know a bunch of people have gone to it in their videos, but if when he goes and pulls the cover off of that thing where they're keeping that serum or whatever they give him, it
Yeah.
says Weapons Plus on it. Weapons Plus is the thing that created Weapon X. So Wolverine is Weapon
Okay.
10, Captain America's Weapon 1, Wolverine's Weapon 10.
Where does the Hulk fall in that? Even though he's not, I guess, considered a weapon, but
And the Hulk's not he's not a product of that. I know that according to the story, he was trying to get Banner to create a super soldier serum, and Banner thought the key was through gamma radiation, but it wasn't so much that Banner was trying to create a super soldier serum. He was trying to cure cancer. Like
right,
he
yeah, and
wasn't
that's the
even
way they displayed it.
like
He
he
wasn't into the military, the
no.
militarization of yeah, of the
and
gamma radiation. He just wanted to, like you said, for health benefits.
and Betty Ross had created a primer that could stabilize your cells so you could absorb the gamma radiation. So you could use the gamma radiation to, help you, get over cancer or whatever. Unfortunately, it so much gamma that highly concentrated, untested dose that he tested on himself turned him into the Hulk. Um,
What what
when
if what if like the Hulk, when he went to Canada, he had like some of the serum with him or something? I'm just throwing this out there. And
the
maybe,
primer, yeah.
yeah, maybe maybe somebody took, like, yeah, his blood samples and whatever knowledge they had of Captain America, and then when they did Wolverine, it was almost in a way how Ultron was made in the movies between Iron Man, Thor, and Ultron, but just in a way where they incorporate Captain America and Hulk into uh the X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, they could maybe they try to create a weapon that way. That would be a good way to introduce like a villain for Wolverine. Uh,
Okay.
maybe one of his past villains that were in the Weapon X project before him. I don't know who they would use or how they could augment that. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but because do you watch the Jessica Jones series, right? You
Yeah, I saw that.
remember Frank Simpson was in there. He would take the pill and get all jacked up.
Oh yeah.
He was a character in Weapon X. Like in the comic books, Frank Simpson is a guy that Wolverine actually turned into an assassin
Okay.
for Weapon X, and they turned him into this like brainwashed assassin. They would give him an oil like Wolverine basically brainwashed him, and he'd say something to him, and he would take one of those pills, and he would just go on a murderous rampage. So he was technically Weapon 7, I think. This was before they did the bonding the Wolverine and made him Weapon 10. So Wolverine
Okay.
was a part of the Weapons Plus agency. He worked for them
So do you think they should do like the Weapons Plus agency as something totally different, or as like they existed but they were
Maybe like
Hydra?
maybe
You think
like
they should be Hydra?
they could be Hydra too. Maybe that could be like a Disney Plus series, Weapons Plus, and it just talks about all these failed experiments, to create the next Captain America. And then you get at the very end of the series, you get the Weapon 10. And that'd be a good way to introduce. That would be a cool way to introduce Wolverine's character and have him in the series kind of as like a lower level character, and have some other people kind of be the higher level characters. I think that would be kind of neat. I don't know specifically how they could focus on it, but that would be a really cool way to do it. Like I said, there is so much that Marvel can do that Fox wouldn't do. Fox just kind of put movies out there too fast with the X-Men, and didn't like.
Yeah, I mean, they from a business perspective, they didn't want to lose those rights to the movies because of having to put out, like the Fantastic Four movies, having to put out content so they can keep the contract from expiring.
Yeah.
Just terrible movies, but.
Well, I mean, the first two X-Men movies weren't bad at all. I thought X2 was actually a pretty good movie.
Well, I was referring to the Fantastic Four, but
Days of Future, all three Fantastic Four movies were garbage. Just as like Dr. Doom, just like acting like a crack kid over there, scratching his neck, like he's like, I have metal underneath my skin. Dude. It's like, what the crap?
Hey, I had a thought, and I forgot that I had thought about this the other day. And going back to what you were asking me as far as what I think would be cool to introduce the X-Men into the MCU is if at the very end of WandaVision, since how, not to spoil it for anybody, but like, the first couple episodes, you realize that they're watching WandaVision, like it's TV inside of a TV type of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're watching a show that they're watching that is Wanda's show. So anyway, they have Deadpool at the very end of the season watching it like we're watching it.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, just like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. There he is. That's a Fox product right there, just watching the very end, and just watching it, and has something smart to say, obviously. About wrapping up the season, like, just he turns off his TV and gives you a comment.
He just says something dirty about Vision. Like, how the hell did Vision have kids?
That's all he's got. Just something like that.
That's how the hell did he do that? And he it'd be cool if he gets up and he walks over to his PlayStation and he gets a sign on the PlayStation that says Noob Master 69. This that would be even better. Then he gets someone, he's like, oh, Korg's on. I'm gonna mess with him.
Yeah, just anything like that. Just anything where he's like actually watching the TV show. I think that would be pretty clever.
Yeah, definitely. But it's exciting to see where the MCU is going. I'm excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I had a theory that it would be cool if they found Wolverine in that series.
So this is supposed to be set post Endgame.
Yeah. So this is right after they, post Endgame. So I have a feeling that all of these shows are like, this stuff is going on at the same time. So like, so like while Wanda's got her bubble up and the sword people are dealing with that, Falcon and Bucky are dealing with what they're dealing with. Loki's off in these other areas of the world of time dealing with what he's dealing with, and Hawkeye is training Kate Bishop to be the next Hawkeye, and this is all going on at the same time.
I have a question because I can't remember. Wanda, was she faded out in the snap?
Yeah.
Okay, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, were they faded out?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And Loki obviously is a different timeline, Loki.
Yeah. So these are characters that haven't been around for 5 years.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder like what the after effects are. I mean, I thought we would see a little bit more of it and Spider-Man Far From Home as far as him talking about it, but nobody's kind of talked about it yet. So that's a big open window too, as
Well,
far as what side effects it could have or what they saw on the other side, if they saw anything.
yeah, and Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movies are lighthearted.
Right.
They're really lighthearted because they're targeting a younger audience, and but
As
yeah,
long as Venom stays rated R, right?
yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Venom. I'm up and down about it. I've rewatched Venom since it came out, and there are parts of it that were kind of hard to swallow. But as far as Tony, as far as Tom Hardy and how he did with the character, he was great. And Venom was great. I loved having like Venom talking to him and him talking to Venom or walking around. He's just talking to himself. but yeah, I hope that the sequel is good and how they want to tie all that together with the
Yeah, I
Sony
wonder
properties.
if the
Um,
symbiote survived the snap.
well, I mean, technically they don't exist in the same universe yet, so
Oh, oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we don't know yet, and we don't know if Venom is canon or not until like we see the movies basically, um, and when they come out. I have a really good feeling that if they're tied to, especially Morbius is tied to Tom Holland's Spider Man, then Venom's probably is too. I have a
When does that
feeling.
movie come out?
So Morbius it was supposed to be in May this year, and they pushed it to next year.
It's under
Uh,
Sony only, or is it
it,
Sony
it's yeah,
Marvel Studios?
it's in association with Marvel. It's Sony, but
Okay.
I think the trailer looks really good. And the Morbius character is a interesting character, and they could definitely have a movie about it. And I think Jared Leto looks pretty cool being Morbius. But then again, we'll see what it's like when it comes out. Um, and then with the Spider-Man rumors, and they're talking, Dr. Octopus and all this stuff, they're all going to be in it. That's just there's a lot going on right now in the MCU. But I'm excited. Like I'm excited about the X-Men. Um, I can't wait to see them. And before we wrap up, I will say that there's another theory I had about the X-Men um, coming into the MCU and how they could do it. Uh, and that theory is they just carbon copy the animated series and just do it like that. And you have that team from the animated series. Everybody's seen the animated series. They know that team, and they tell the stories like it was in there. Have the Sentinels show up in the first movie, have the first scene be Jubilee, in her like bedroom blowing up her Nintendo Switch, like don't even like have anything to explain it. All of a sudden, these people have this kid has powers, and the X-Men are saving her from a mutant detention facility, and uh, that would be kind of cool. And then just fill in the background later, like prequel it later, that would be a cool thing to do. Uh, but that's just a secondary theory. All in all, we got a lot to be excited about. And I know you're excited. I'm definitely excited. Um, and WandaVision will be done soon, and then we'll have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then we'll have Loki, and then we'll have Hawkeye. Um, and then we'll probably get the What If show sometime soon, the animated What If show, which looks amazing. Uh,
Do you think that the Falcon and Winter Soldiers exist in the same time as WandaVision, since it's like basically coming on right after Wanda's done?
yeah, well, I think I think all these series are taking place at the same time. But yeah,
I
I
guess
think
these two, what they have in common is they're dealing with death. of a MCU character, Wanda with Vision, and then the other two with Captain America. I guess not really dying, but
Yeah, being gone. Yeah,
retiring. Yeah.
yeah, and then of course Spider-Man is dealing with Tony because
And
he
then I
was
guess that's
close
the
to
common
Tony.
theme that they're having right now.
Yeah, and then I don't know
I
about
guess next time they show Thor, he's going to think his brother's dead.
yeah, and he's off, and they say he's going to show up. That Loki's going to show up in Thor: Love and Thunder. I think probably he ends up coming
So
back to this reality, and he finds
is
out that he's dead in this one.
is Thor actually in that movie? Is he going to be in the Guardians 3 and
Yeah,
Thor: Love and Thunder? Okay.
both of them. Yeah, yeah. The Guardians just they're filming Thor: Love and Thunder will come out first, and
Oh,
yeah, like it's gonna when he leaves with the Guardians will be with him in the beginning of Thor: Love and Thunder. I think Pratt and all of them came to film their spots in that movie, so
okay.
they're in the movie with him. So and
He's the
then
first one to get 4 movies.
he's getting 4, but yeah, man, it's been fun tonight talking Marvel Cinematic Universe, and earlier we had fun talking basketball. I really appreciate you, Derek, getting on here with me, and
Yeah, thanks for having me.
it's a lot of fun talking MCU stuff, and hopefully we can have some more people on and talk some more geek stuff in the future, and video game stuff. I want to do that too, and whatnot. But
Yeah, maybe next time we do like Spider-Man or Fantastic Four.
yeah, definitely break down some Spider-Man. Yeah, I definitely just love to do a show where we do nothing but talking about the animated series.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love that. I love the animated series. It was so much fun. Um, but yeah. Once again, Tavern Geek. Find me at Facebook. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Instagram. All under Tavern Geek. And we'll have more stuff coming out. We hope to be doing a whole lot more, and I really appreciate all of you guys for listening to us today. And yeah, so thank you guys.
Peace.
Peace.